here to help. Just say, hey, Kopilot.
Hi everyone, this is Marian, VP of Engineering for VONQ, and today I'm going to show you the brand new Kopilot product from VONQ. Kopilot is an entire rebuild from scratch of the talent acquisition stack based on generative AI. So think ChatGPT, candidate relationship management system. The interview process, the recruitment process has multiple steps, right? From job description generation, sourcing, assessment, interview, scheduling, job advertising, etc. So we build a set of role-based agents that together work in harmony in order to automate the entire process so that you as a recruiter can either start from one single prompt and let the AI do the rest, or you can take back control and intervene wherever in the process you think it's necessary. Let me show you what I mean by one single prompt. So let's say that we're Apple and we want to hire an Apple genius. I need to hire an Apple genius for my store in Watford, UK. The moment I enter that, Copilot's looking in the ATS to see if we have any jobs. I'm going to say no, create one new campaign from scratch. So the moment it creates a campaign, it looks at the job title and previous information about the company, creates a job description, including location, tonality, requirements, etc. It creates an assessment based on the requirements it identified in the job. It then creates an interview process, an interview plan with questions and difficulty, etc. It creates a sourcing plan. So based on your existing candidate database, you can automatically start sourcing. It creates an advertising plan. So based on your job, it looks into the hiring API to identify the right products for your campaign, and it then publishes it, so that all you need to do is just confirm that you are happy with it and you're ready to go. So I'm going to show you how a campaign looks like once it's created. So let's start with the sourcing process. For the role I've just created, an Apple Genius role, the agents went on and created a search tailored for the role that I'm looking for. So the agents understand that by genius, I actually mean a technical support specialist at Apple. And this specialist needs to have skills such as problem solving, technical knowledge, etc. But you can also see not only generates skills and job titles, but also it understands the importance of each of them and weights them appropriately. So for example, problem solving is paramount to being a technical customer support, whereas teamwork is also important, but not that much. But doesn't only do it for just my campaign, but I can say I need a PHP developer in Rotterdam able to commute to World Trade Center, obviously speak Dutch. So again, in a few seconds, via the Copilot agent, we were able to tailor our search for a PHP developer who needs to know PHP, but also some nice to have around the PHP area, relevant, related skills. Needs to be in a commutable distance, 50 kilometers around Rotterdam, etc. So with these candidates over here, they usually come from the ATS. When they do, we parse them, so we identify their skills, their working background, and not only we understand who they are, but we have agents that are able to contact them immediately and propose them for a role. So just by clicking this button, I can invite the candidate via WhatsApp, via email, but also via phone call. And when I say invite, I actually mean an agent is going to phone the candidate and speak to the candidate and get the candidate to apply. Once that candidate accepts to apply, the recruiter AI agent persuades them to apply, they end up on the apply page. Imagine this as your job landing page a la ATS, but we completely rebuilt it from scratch in order to achieve from the application point to the interview point. It only takes 20 minutes as opposed to weeks or months in the traditional hiring process. Let me show you what I mean. On the left is the job description for the Apple Genius, and on the right I can apply now using my name. The CV is uploading, and in an instant our agents are looking at the CV, the PDF, they're parsing it, extracting skills, experience, etc. And not only that, but it identifies what are the gaps in my CV, what are the requirements for the job that are not mentioned in my CV. And as a candidate, you can see I'm in the top 14% of the applicants. Wow. But it asks me for more information to have a complete picture for the recruiter. So let's start chatting. First, can you provide more details about your experience with Apple products? I've developed some apps on iOS and on an iPhone, but that's kind of it. Our agents speak multiple languages, more than 100. Could you share more about the customer service experience? I've worked in a web agency customer-facing role, and often I had to own post-implementation customer support issues. You can understand English, you can understand Dutch, you can speak in Dutch, you can even understand broken grammar and jargon, just like a human would. So it's going to keep on asking me all of the questions necessary to fill in the gaps, and then it has all the information about me, the gaps in my CV. It just evaluated my application. I had immediate feedback. So after I answered the questions, I'm not in the 14% anymore, but rather 28% of the applicants. And I have immediate feedback along with explanations. So problem solving, the candidate demonstrated problem solving skills in various roles, and it's really tailored for my CV. Now that I'm the top 20% of the applicants, next step is to interview me. All right, so we have an AI interviewer that is going to call me via a audio call in the browser, and once I'm done, evaluate my answers just like a normal recruiter would. Let me show you.
Hello, Marian. This is Bill from Apple. Am I catching you at a good time?
Sure.
Great. I'm calling because you recently applied for a job at Apple, and this is the first interview. I am an AI interviewer, and this call is part of your application process at Apple. If you consent to this interview, please say, I consent.
I consent.
Perfect. Let's get started. I'll explain the role to you first, and then we'll move on to the interview questions. The role we are considering you for is a demo Apple Genius, customer support position. As an Apple Genius, you will be responsible for providing exceptional customer support, troubleshooting technical issues, and delivering product demonstrations to customers. Your role will involve assisting customers with their Apple products, ensuring a positive experience, and representing the Apple brand with excellence. Now let's begin with the interview questions. I'll ask you one question at a time, and you can share your responses. Are you ready to proceed?
Sure am.
Great. Let's start with the first question. Can you share an experience of dealing with a difficult customer?
Oh, for sure. When I was working in a web agency, there was this startup that was aggregating all of the roller coaster parks in Europe, and they were expecting a fabulous new website redesign for pennies. we did what we could, but they just wanted more and more and expanded the scope. So we just very politely, kindly, I've told them, like, look, this is the requirements document, and based on your requirements, we've done everything that's in there. Of course, we can do more, but we'll charge an hourly rate. So that was that. The customer understood.
Thank you for sharing that experience. Now, here's the next question. Can you describe a situation where you had to solve a complex problem at work?
Oh yeah, building Kopilot at VONQ was a challenging experience at the bleeding edge of generative AI. Because we started when there was no tooling and no infrastructure for large language models, we had to build a lot of our own and do a poor man's infrastructure, poor man's WebSockets, etc. So it was quite complex.
Thank you for sharing that experience. Here's the next question. Can you explain how you would handle a difficult customer?
Well, I would be polite, try to listen more than I talk, really empathize and understand what their concern is, and really just try to be as helpful as I can without feeling, defensive or aggressive.
Thank you for sharing your approach. Here's the final question. Can you describe a situation where you had to work as part of a team to achieve a goal?
Of course, every day.
Thank you for sharing your experiences. Are you interested in learning about the next steps for applying to the demo, Apple Genius, customer support role at Apple?
Sure am. Yep.
Thank you for your time, Julian. Have a great day.
So I've done my interview, I've been evaluated, and then based on that, I've been shortlisted. Let me show you now how things look on the recruiter's end. This is the applicants page for the Apple Genius role. Let me break it down for you because there's a lot of things going on in here. Each row represents a job requirement as parsed and understood from the original job description. So problem solving, ability to solve problems, car driving license, must have one, teamwork, success in team environments, etc. Each of the columns represents an applicant, and each cell represents the evaluation of our agent for that candidate for that job requirement. So let's look at schedule adherence for over here. We got a 60% initial score because the candidate demonstrated the ability to adhere to a schedule by leading teams to execute on business needs, etc. However, specific examples were not provided. And you can see the minus 20%. That comes from the chat I've just shown you earlier, where the agent tried to dive more and understand if there's any gap. So it figured out that the candidate has shown ability to lead teams, etc. However, the candidate wasn't able to provide specific examples, particularly in relation to customer appointments. So because there was no concrete evidence, I had a lower score. Every candidate gets scored against all of the job requirements. We also have a red flag detector for CVs, for example, buzzwords. The resume uses a lot of buzzwords such as React, AI, blockchain, etc. Some of them might seem that are even fake. So as a recruiter, you're able to spot that immediately. And ultimately, our agents build a candidate dossier, let's call it, where the recruiter can share with the hiring manager or the customer not only the parsed CV, the strengths, the weaknesses, right, all the experience, etc., but also the interview evaluation. So in this case, for the problem-solving question, we had an interview plan also generated by our agents. Each question in the interview plan has a set of evaluation criteria. Each criteria has a weight, an explanation to it for the evaluator, and every candidate gets a score. So in this case, I didn't really get anything. But here's another example of me applying again, where I did get some score, and you can see the explanation for my evaluation, because I describe a complex problem, rebuilding talent acquisition from scratch. And as a recruiter, if you're not convinced, you can also see the chat transcript over here. We also show the knockout questionnaire. So if you remember the chat, for each of the job requirements in question, you can see the explanation of the evaluation along with the score boost or downgrade. And armed with all this information, you as a recruiter can make a choice. Should I take my time to actually invite this person in an office, spend a few hours, contact the hiring manager, etc.? So all in all, we're hoping that this is going to streamline the hiring process, especially for high volume roles, and add more diligence and quality to the evaluation process. Last but not least, Kopilot integrates with many ATSs, so you can synchronize the jobs and the candidates and the applicants coming in from the ATS to Kopilot and back from Kopilot to the ATS for more than 40 ATSs, including iSIMS, Smart Recruiters, Workday, and many more. This was it, folks. Thanks for listening. And stay tuned for more product updates. Bye.